I took on a project recently that was already ongoing. So here I am coming in as the new project manager taking on this already ongoing project. And there was so much stuff I needed to catch up on. So here's a brain dump of what I think are the critical actions that you need to do the first 30 days of being the new project manager on a project. Number one, scope, budget, schedule. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but this is the first thing that I would do as the incoming project manager. Understand the scope, understand any change orders that potentially happen to that scope, understand the schedule, what is the schedule and the critical milestones. And as a new project manager coming in cold, I would concentrate on the high level milestones that are critical to that project, especially in the next 30 days. And of course, know your budget. You got to understand the status of your budget. What is the actual versus the proposed? What's the size of your contract and how much has been spent up to date and how much has been allocated to each activity of your project? Really, your goal here is to understand the health of your project. Is it progressing well or are they delayed? Are there overruns? Are there any areas as the new project manager that you need to focus on to re-strategize to ensure that your budget is healthy? So that brings me into the next thing that I would concentrate on, which are financials. A lot of project management has so much to do with project controls, understanding the health of your financials, your invoices, what kind of overhead did this specific contract have? What was your profit fee for this specific contract? How much have we actually invoiced the client? What is the process with the clients? There are some clients that have very, very difficult processes and standards of invoicing and, making sure that you're invoicing your sub-consultants in a specific time frame, making sure that the rates are within a specific range, making sure that all your project controls are clear, clean, and organized is really important coming as the new project manager. Because if you're not, let's say that you're lagging behind with some invoicing, you're probably falling behind on the cash flow and the profitability of that project. So that's honestly one of the biggest things that I'm going to concentrate on in the first 30 days of a project manager. I'm going to trust that my discipline leads can keep the project going in terms of the actual technical work that's going on and deliverables for this project, while me as a project manager, I'm making sure that the health of the project is going well. Which means that after that, I'm going to try to understand the systems of this project. Every single project has multiple systems. There is always a standard of operation for a project. So I want to make sure that as an incoming project manager, the first 30 days, I understand how are we communicating with the client? How are we communicating with the sub-consultants? What are all the standards of operation? Is there a specific way that we need to do invoicing? Is there a specific way that we need to do progress reporting? Are there standing meetings and how are those standing meetings being set up? What are the systems in place to deliver whatever it is that we're delivering? I really want to understand it. And I also want to understand, are the systems working? Is there anything failing or anything where people seem kind of lost? Because those are the things that me as the project manager in the first 30 days, I'm going to concentrate to make sure that I'm improving. If you're lucky and you get a project that is kind of best practices and is doing really, really well, then mainly I just want to learn the system so that I don't do something that's out of procedure and that I surprise the client, I don't know, by doing something differently that I'm used to, but potentially for this specific project, there's already a system in place. So 2 reasons you really want to understand your systems. Number 1, are there any systems that are failing that you need to concentrate on and fix? Number 2, what are the systems in place that are working, that are thriving, that you need to ensure that you're not messing with as the new person coming in? The next thing I would do, which might surprise you, but now is when I would go into the actual contract and understand the contract agreement with the client. You've already learned kind of the critical stuff through your financials, like what is the fee for this project, but you do want to dig into those contract agreements and see what was agreed with the client in terms of what type of contract are you using? Again, what type of fee? What was your overhead? What were all of the agreements in place in that contract? It's different from your scope of work, so don't confuse the two. This contract is going to tell you how you and the client are going to be working together and what was set in place when this contract started. If it's a large contract, it probably has a lot of information that you're probably going to need to know as the project continues throughout the years. So once I've kind of dug into all the critical things, the financials, the scope, the budget, the schedule, your systems, now I'm going to dig into, okay, what was in that actual contract? It would surprise you. You would think that this would be the first thing that you do, read the contract. However, if a project is ongoing, you want to make sure that it continues to successfully keep going. And then you can go back and understand exactly what were the legal terms to the contract. Next step, who's your project team? This one, I might do a little bit before everything else, like understand who your discipline leads are, but I wouldn't get to know the real detail, especially if it's a larger team, of who the project team is and how it is organized. This is where I would bring out that org chart. How was the team organized? How was the project team organized? Hopefully I know my discipline leads by now and those that I'm working with very closely. But now I want to know, okay, who is everyone on the project? Who is under each discipline lead? Do we have any subject matter experts, any advisors? I really want to understand how the whole project is organized in terms of staffing. Kind of in tandem with that, this is when I like to get to know my client. I actually like to understand my whole project, my project team, the scope, the financials, the system, everything in place before I actually go to the client and say, hi, I'm the new project manager. Hopefully I have a little bit of a transition period where this is acceptable. Sometimes it's not, and you have to go in cold with the client and introduce yourselves. But if you do have that transition period, that's what I like to do. Really get to know so that when I go to the client, I sound educated. I sound like I've done my research. I know what we're talking about when we're having a conversation. I'm not just saying, oh, yes, I'll look into that. I haven't read the scope of work, but I don't want to do that. I want to go in prepared. As with everything, you want to go in prepared to meet your client. So at this point, go have an introductory meeting with the client, understand your clients. What are your client priorities? What are they focusing on? And, give them a 4-minute, 5-minute introduction where you can get some credibility with the client. That's definitely something you want to do. You want to do a really good first impression because no one likes being the new project manager on a project that's already ongoing and losing a trusted person on a project. Okay, the next thing I would do is figure out who's my right-hand man. Do you have a deputy project manager? If you don't, a project's control person, a project admin, or is one of the discipline leads your right-hand man? Are they potentially doing the work of a deputy project manager? You really want to get close to that person because you will be lost. There will be times as you take on this role that you're going to need help understanding something. So you want to be able to know who that right-hand man is and respect their knowledge so that you can learn from them. Finally, my last piece of advice, if you're going in as a new project manager, taking over a project in the first 30 days, don't be afraid to sound dumb. I have seen this time and time again where new project managers take over a project and they come in just wanting to impress people and wanting to show that they have the credibility, they know things, they have the experience, and sometimes don't even listen to their project team to understand the background and the issues that are going on the project. They kind of just take over and forget to listen to their project team and come off as someone who's not willing to collaborate. So I just take on the mindset of, yeah, I have the credibility. Yeah, I can do this, but this is a new project. I don't know any of the standard procedures here. I don't know how invoicing's done. I don't know what the project background is. There's potentially some technical disciplines that I'm not an expert in. So I'm going to need my team and I'm going to listen to them. Also, this will help me with gain their respect and gaining credibility with them. So many of us are so afraid to look dumb, especially when you have already multiple years of experience. But if you're afraid to ask those fundamental questions, even when you need to know the answer, you're going to get stuck. The only way of succeeding and pushing through is to ask those fundamental questions, even though you might be feeling like you're not presenting the best version of yourself. I've always been very open about, hey, I don't understand this procedure. Can you explain it to me? Hey, I know I should probably know this program, but I don't. Can you walk me through it? Talk to me like I'm an entry-level engineer so I can figure this out. Because guess what? That's the way that you're going to get to be a competent project manager on this new project as fast as possible. The other way is it's going to be some muddy route, some muddy path where, yeah, you're kind of leading, but also you don't really know how to do some things because you never asked those fundamental questions. I know I've definitely been questioned and even asked, well, it seems like you need other project managers to consult in order to understand this thing. I don't really know your background, which essentially tells me that they don't really trust me being the leader on a project. And yeah, it hurts. It stings at the beginning. But as soon as I can get through those fundamental questions and I'm able to lead the project because I was willing to learn, they change their tone with me a lot. And they realize that I am competent. So I try really hard to not absorb those kind of comments and not get myself into imposter syndrome, because either way, I'm the leader on this project. So let's just work together and figure it out. All right, that's it. That's everything I wanted to say for this video. Let me know if there's anything special that you do in the first 30 days of taking over a project. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.